Everyone has a personal agenda in this league, but you have to make those personal agenda work in the team confines. And if it doesn't work, then you kind of got to get rid of your agenda, or or eventually the agenda is the cause of someone getting rid of you. And so, I think you don't want a team with no personal agendas because a goal is an agenda. And so you got to have some type of personal agenda. But like I said, you got your personal agenda must fit into the confines of the team.
When you hear those comments from Draymond, I think everyone's mind immediately goes to Kuminga because of the summer, because of his entire tenure with the Warriors organization and the narrative and optics around that. But what I would say is, for the most part, I think Kuminga has played how they want him to play. Has it been good enough? Is Kuminga maybe finding out you're not exactly who you think you are quite yet, at least? To me, I think the comments were aimed more so at pods. I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Over 28 million downloads, the #1 ticketing app, 70,000 plus events listed on there. And they just make it really easy. They rate their tickets on a 1 to 10 scale. Green is good, red is bad. So you know the value you're getting in the ticket that you purchase. It's safe, it's secure. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And whether it's a concert, a comedy show, NBA is back, football, it's really a no-brainer. It's the only place I go when I want to go to a live event, and that's what I use. And I'm looking here, Niners-Cardinals coming up here, and I'm thinking, man, this might be the only chance I get to see Mac Jones in a Niners uniform before, well, maybe he's a Pro Bowler elsewhere. And I came through for you guys, right? So right now, you can use the code Alchemy10 to get 10% off any set of tickets from SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets using the code Alchemy10. So make sure to click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you could use it later, right? And I think his thirst to take the next step, he's taking tougher shots. You've seen him force mid-rangers and stuff like that. And the difference is, the reality is, when you say fit within the team concepts, the Warriors need Kuminga to be the third option and on certain nights the second or even the first option. They don't necessarily need that from pods, right? To be fair to pods, if the vets were playing better, maybe he's not forcing more shots, right? But when you look at the agenda list, if you look at this and you look up and down the roster, I think we can all say Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, their agenda is a championship, because at this point in their career, what else is there? Outside of the free throw bets and stuff like that. Quentin Post and Moses Moody have played exactly how the Warriors want them to play, right? GP2, he could be on that list. Actually, who? We go to the end of the bench here. Pat Spencer has been forcing shots. But again, what's the context of the situation? Steph's sick. Draymond's not getting guarded. Jimmy is very selective when he decides to get going offensively. Is that forcing Pods and Pat and these other guys to take shots that you don't want them to take? And so it's interesting timing for the comments because, Kuminga is coming off a good game last night, relatively. Like, he was one of the more efficient guys that didn't seem to be as bothered with the defense of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Draymond, defensively, if his agenda is to be Defensive Player of the Year again, and it's not going well. His agenda isn't fitting, right? No. A little on last night's game, the Thunder, the #1 defense, they're trying to go back-to-back, and there's a lot of comparisons to the early Warriors dynasty. And this would be the 73-win season for the Thunder, right? The defense title of, no, we're legit. Like, don't question our championship. And it remains to be seen if they're going to have the durability, the hunger to sustain this for season after season, right? I think durability is the main thing. They start with Quentin Post, and you understood, look, the Chet matchup's going to be rough for him, especially when he's got to help on the SGA ball screens, then recover to Chet. But the juice had to be worth the squeeze. They needed his spacing offensively, and he just wasn't knocking down shots, right? And it's kind of a chicken or egg thing. So most of them were. He had some open looks, but you also, it's like the fear of the defense. Sometimes when you have an identity like the Thunder do defensively, and they fly around, they're so athletic, even if it's an open shot, it's a lower percentage shot in that building against this team because you're seeing ghosts and stuff like that. Not that Quentin was seeing ghosts last night, but I thought that that's what really discouraged them early on because they're not making threes. They know they've got to make threes. And now the Thunder, others are making threes. Jalen Williams off the bench is making threes. Caruso's making threes, right? And so they hung their head. I've said it before. I do think they're kind of acting like they're feeling sorry for themselves a little bit with this schedule, but seeing it as though it was the front end of a back-to-back, and they got to go see the Alien tonight. You understood why they packed it in early. It was almost better that there wasn't some late run and Steph and everybody played 30 plus minutes. Steph looked healthy, wasn't defending well, and looked frustrated. Like, all right, let's on to the next one. And again, in the context of last night, you get it. But I do wonder, once you get out of this tough schedule, how many nights are like that? Is this kind of part of who they are because of the age? Because of the age of the core of this team, are there going to be nights where by the half, they're like, hey, we ain't got it tonight. Let's pack it up. We got to save ourselves. Because they can't afford to do that in the Western Conference. Now, tonight in San Antonio, it might not look much different, man. It might not look much different. We're so reliant on the three ball. And if it's not dropping, are the vets going to get discouraged? And, I would like to think this baseball series, if I were to guess, we get an inspired effort tonight. It's close, maybe even get a win, but we maybe get blown out Friday. One of these two games against the Spurs is going to look like last night. And we can talk about getting through November at 500, but I also think that the veterans, as Draymond making this statement, listen, all young guys are going to try to do more, especially when everyone is sensing it's not enough. It's not enough, right? K-Dot says it's not enough. The way the team is currently constructed, I think we're seeing is not enough against the Thunder, against Denver, against San Antonio, against Houston. I know we haven't even seen half those teams yet, but that's the sense I'm getting. Currently constructed, it's not enough. We need more size and we need more athleticism. I think the positive is we have the chips to go and do that. We've got a ton of draft picks. We've got some intriguing young players. And there's going to be movement around the league, right? And so, it's a bit early to start talking trades, and they've got plenty of excuses right now. You run into the defending champs that make a lot of teams look like that. It made sense to punt early, but I think the early feeling is like, dang, we don't have enough right now. And so let's see if they respond in San Antonio tonight. Wemby, the new strategy is you put a small guy on him and just crowd his hips. Just knock him off balance and get crowded with him. But Stephon Castle, really good player. Harrison Barnes hasn't been missing. Like the Spurs, De'Aaron Fox is back. I don't know if we want to call him a contender, but it's a bad matchup for us. So we'll see how we respond. The three ball's got to drop. But yeah, I think that, I think they all got to take a look at themselves. I don't think it was out of pocket. But if we are going to point the fingers and you go, okay, I think it's more aimed at Pods right now, right or wrong. Anyway, I'll be back with this Spurs matchup breakdown. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.